All right, diving in here, we got secure transactions. This whole lesson goes hand in hand with bankruptcy, so just keep that in mind. There will be a lot of overlap between the two, and not in the sense of seeing unimportant things too much, more in the sense of combining the concepts from the two and making sure we understand the relationship, how secure transactions affect bankruptcy, how bankruptcy could affect secure transactions, because guess what? We're going to see debtors, creditors, and guarantors all involved in bankruptcy as well. Secure transactions they're a common aspect of modern finance as they provide a means for creditors to mitigate the risk associated with lending money or extending credit. Now, in these transactions, a debtor, think about I'm just going to buy a car. I purchase something from a creditor. The creditor is either a bank using an auto loan or an auto dealership or secured party on credit. And in return, the creditor obtains a security interest in the debtor's property, which is the collateral. Now, this, right off the bat, we'll talk about this a lot more, but it means that if I just default, they have the right to come after that car. If it's a bank with a house, mortgage, they have the right to come after that house. This security interest ensures that the creditor can recover their investment if the debtor defaults on the loan or credit agreement. Great way to remember this. Think about it. Now, God only knows at what time you are watching this, what interest rates are like. Interest rates fluctuate wildly, and depending on inflation, all that good stuff. Why do you think it is that credit card interest is something like 25 to 30%, whereas an auto loan could be anywhere from, let's say, 5 to 15? I know those are wide ranges, and again, I don't know when you're listening to this, so interest rates do fluctuate. But obviously, the car loan is a lot cheaper. Same with mortgages. Usually not, if you're paying 30% for a mortgage, that is a little ridiculous. And the reason being is because if the person you're borrowing money from has a secured interest in the house or car, meaning they have the right to take these things legally from you, there's not as much risk, so they don't have to charge as much interest. Whereas the credit card company, there's nothing they have the right to take from you. When you use your credit card, whether you go on DoorDash or you're Ubering around, you buy a movie ticket, a plane ticket, the credit card company can't come after you for those things, even if you bought physical assets with those credit cards. So that's why, in order to hedge their risk, they just charge higher interest on those. So again, that's something to keep in mind, tying it in with your real life, helping you to remember all of this as we go through the lesson. It'll help you significantly. Now, a secured interest is a limited right in specific personal property of the debtor that serves as a guarantee for the repayment of the debt. Now, the collateral can be any form of personal property, such as vehicles, inventory, equipment, or accounts receivable. The creation of a security interest involves 3 main steps. We've got these steps, definitely memorize them, be familiar with them. Attachment, this is the process by which the security interest is created and becomes enforceable against the debtor. Attachment generally occurs when the debtor and the creditor agree to the security interest, typically through a security agreement, which must be signed or authenticated by the debtor. The creditor gives value to the debtor, and we're going to see these items in order. How do you get attachment? We're going to dive into this much more. Obviously, this is just the introduction. So there has to be value, such as by extending credit, and the debtor has rights in the collateral, so that's also important. You can't pledge your neighbor's car as collateral. Keep in mind that while for the first point, the agreement could be through a proper filing of a security agreement, this is not a requirement, only that there's an agreement to create a security interest, which can be through an authenticated security agreement or by the creditor taking possession or control of the collateral. Again, we'll talk about this a lot more. This is a nice introduction. Just don't worry too much about memorizing, going crazy here. We will see this much more in depth. Next up, perfection, to ensure that the security interest is enforceable against third parties, meaning that the auto dealership can actually enforce this agreement against you and come take your car if you stop paying for it, such as other creditors or a bankruptcy trustee. The creditor must perfect the security interest. Perfection is usually achieved by filing a financing statement, often called a UCC-1, with a public office, such as the Secretary of State. This provides notice to the public that the creditor has a security interest in the specified collateral. Next up, priority. In situations where multiple creditors have security interests in the same collateral, the priority of the security interests determines which creditor has the right to take the collateral in case of default. Generally, the first creditor to perfect the security interest has priority over the others. So let's say you're building a $1 million high-rise and you get financing through multiple banks. That's a common situation. Not that I would know because I've never built a million or multi-million dollar high-rise, but that is something you could see. So which of these creditors, because in a situation where I am just a person getting a car from a dealership, it's pretty straightforward. There's me and the other party. If I'm building a building and there's multiple parties I'm financing through, that gets complicated if I stop paying back those debts. Now, if the debtor fails to fulfill their credit obligation, the creditor has the right to repossess the collateral. This can be done either through a judicial process, such as obtaining a court order, or in some cases through self-help repossession, so repo people taking possession of the collateral without court involvement. Once the collateral has been repossessed, the creditor may sell it to satisfy the outstanding debt, subject to any applicable legal requirements. Right, nice introduction. This one we kind of went all in head first. A lot of other introductions, we take it a little more soft, but we're going to make sure you understand this thoroughly by the end of it. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.